Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Chantele. And we're here to break down the finale of The Amazing Race Australia.
Can you believe we made it, you guys?
We're
20
here.
people, 1,000 episodes, half of them in isolation, but we got here. It's a finale. But first, if you're new to this channel, please click subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. And also, please welcome our very special guest from last season of Amazing Race Australia, Mr. SEFA.
Hey!
Hello. How are
Hi.
you?
I am great. How are you ladies doing?
So good.
Yeah.
So
Happy
good
to
to talk
have
to you.
Yes, thank you for joining us. Looking forward to getting your thoughts on this season.
Yeah.
First off, though, you raced last season.
Yeah.
First season since then. How is SEFA post race? How is life?
It was coming straight out of the Amazing Race. We went straight into another lockdown. I don't know if you guys knew this,
Oh.
Do you
but
remember
where
that?
I live in Sydney, we were in a lockdown. So the show aired, and then it was straight into a lockdown for about 6 months. So we weren't out until just last Christmas. So, I ate my way through that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's quite a change from running around an entire country and then just sitting at home.
Yeah, no, it was. But I think watching some episodes reminded me, it's like, oh, I have been to those places. There is this world outside. And,
Right.
one day you'll be able to reunite with it someday. But until then, just keep chowing down those Tim Tams.
And how is Team Bestie? Jess, you guys needed some space at first.
Yes,
But
that
are
was
we
definitely
besties?
that was definitely the case. Oh, for sure. But when you're racing around, when it's just the two of you and that's all you have to talk to, it's like, I will talk to a wall. I'll talk to a rat. Please, anything else.
Anything else?
And so, but eventually we reach out, olive branches are extended, and we're back to normal, back to functioning. And we actually watched the first half of this season. We watched it together.
Were you allowed to talk to each other or no?
Yeah. Well, she did specifically say, go sit on that couch. Do not come on this side of the room.
Okay. So how did you get involved in the race? Like, were you always a fan of maybe the US seasons or the Australian seasons? Like, what inspired you to audition? Like, what was that whole process for you?
I've been a fan. I've been a fan since the early days of the Amazing Race. And so during the time where there was the Australian iteration, the first time round, I was living overseas, so I never got to join. I never got to apply. And plus I was pretty young, so I probably wouldn't have. But I've always just been a fan and kind of followed along. And then the audition process was, we're in lockdown. We auditioned during lockdown. So once everything shut down, but they were still going to run the race. And I had been living overseas as an adult. I was like, hey, here's a free, great way to see
The rest of
Australia that I've been missing out on. I haven't even seen my own continent. So, that's the thought process that was going on.
It's not completely free. You pay with a little bit of your soul, right? A little stress.
Yeah, pay with my soul. Almost paid with my friendship.
Actually.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. Almost paid with my friendship.
Now, we had mixed feelings this season. I mean, obviously, COVID's a thing that we can't control. Australia tried their best to get outside around the world and ran into issues. What was your feelings, opinions on, allowing isolated teams to sort of just isolate and then come back into the game?
I think it reminded me of the stowaway twist that they had on our season, to be honest. And it was, at first I thought, oh, great, they're going to be done away with that. And it would just be a bloodbath throughout the season. Let's just chop these teams down. But I think bringing teams back in, it was kind of like their hands were forced a little bit. And while I did feel that it was that way with production, at the same time, if I were a team racing, it would burn me. I would be burning.
I'd be like
yeah, like having the two teams come in the first, like that at that point in the race, but then have 5 leave and knowing that, oh, we're just going to repeat what happened with the 2 teams. Oh hell no! Like, oh hell no! I would be fighting. It would be us versus them.
There were a lot of really likable teams this season. Did you have a favorite or a team that you were really rooting for out of the 20 teams that we had?
Yeah, there were quite a few likable teams. I think, like, I was a Frankie and Angel fan from the beginning. I like the beef. It's why I went on the race with Jess. It's Angel's bringing that beef vibe. She's ready to fight, and she's got Frankie there to back her
now
up.
though it seems like there might be a little bit of a love connection happening. So maybe it's the hate to love relationship. But sorry,
no, for sure. I think they went where me and Jess never would go, and I think good on them. Good on them. They've visited some amazing places. So I do wonder if it's the locations or is it really them? But I hope it's them. To be honest, I'm a fan. I love. I love it on TV. I'm a fan.
Well, was there a favorite team of yours or a team that you were rooting for that didn't make it to the final 3?
Oh, I think everybody was a fan of Paco and Maury.
Yes.
Oh, that
was so sad.
Yeah, you almost had some tears for that one, right, Sarah? Almost.
I did. Almost. I almost did.
Oh, I was gutted. And just the way it had to happen, it was just, I think you guys said it, you guys hit it on the mark, was just like, if it wasn't Paco and Maury, would it have been Frankie and Angel? I mean, this is not
right.
This is not the situation we wanted. Like, there are 2 other teams I'm willing to sacrifice. There are 2 other teams still racing that could be on the chopping block. But
please.
Yeah.
That one was hard. For us, we really our barista sisters. That was a tough one to lose.
Also,
and I feel like that was it during when the 5 teams were still in isolation, and it just really made you question.
Yeah.
Should we be eliminating teams right now?
Yeah. I think they were the last team to be eliminated, right?
Before
the isolation teams came back. So again, it's just a knife in the gut, knowing that this great, fantastic female team could have made it to the end. Really, they could have.
Yeah. That was a tough one. Well, let's get into this finale, because you know what, Chantele? I actually did have tears. Actual fluid came out of my eyeballs.
Wow, what's going on, Sarah? Is it the full moon?
You know what?
Neptune,
yes. Neptune is sitting on my south node. I don't know this. I'm feeling emotional these days, guys. But okay, so let's start this finale. We're flying to Broome in the Kimberleys.
Yeah.
Do you know this area, Seth?
I do. It's actually the Kimberleys is where Kath and Dwez are from. They're the Kimberly cousins. So now the title makes sense of the Kimberly cousins, because this is their hometown, and they're actually from Broome. So
really?
It ticks all the boxes. I went and visited them last year. We went on a camping road trip for a month. It was wonderful.
I love this.
Yeah,
right?
So I can tell you the insights on this finale.
Part of, the Amazing Race Australia family. I saw at the end of this that Bo was saying, like, come and audition. I'm like, I'm wondering, like, will they let Canadians maybe do it? I'm gonna take a look in, because like
maybe
I might be able to, maybe compete. So I'm going to look and see if Canadians can audition, because it's possible. More possible than the American version.
Right.
We had Sandra on Survivor.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So please, Chantele, come on down.
I want to play. I do.
Yes, I would love it. Yeah.
It's my back door into the challenge, though. The challenge Australia. I'm like, that's kind of like what I actually would want to do. And so like, I'm hoping to be able to go that route, but that's my objective. Sorry.
I love it. Chopstick chow down. This is eating sweet and sour pork, but with the largest chopsticks you've ever seen. These are propped from a movie or something. this is very difficult. We see Kelly and Georgia in first, then Heath and Tony, then Angel and Frankie. But Kelly and Georgia are big old struggle buses here. I think they considered divorce at some point here, and they're going to come out last at this point.
Yeah.
I didn't really find this to be too challenging, but it was funny to watch them.
Yes.
Like, I just, for me, I can't imagine never really have used like chopsticks before. Like, I feel like, I don't know, I've just used them so many times. So when I hear that, like, like I think it was George saying like, oh, I've only maybe used it once, and Kelly's never used chopsticks ever, and so like not even to understand like how it would be best to hold them, I thought it was humorous, because I didn't personally think that was a super challenging task.
And I don't necessarily think using real chopsticks would have helped you in this challenge anyway.
No, it's
like,
totally
you've got 2x4s under your arms. I don't know. But also, I feel like the real first challenge was opening the boot of the car. I don't know if you guys caught that.
Yes. Apparently, no one's used to going to the bottom of the boot. They were all up at the little middle logo-y thing.
Yeah, so I felt like they struggled more with that. I think Angel and Frankie struggled more with opening the boot of the car as opposed to
they were the team that were like, just go into the back seat and throw from the back seat. We give up on that. Georgia is basically like, I'm not a vegetarian anymore. Fine, I'll eat pork.
Yeah, and we welcome her back.
Yeah, right. I feel like vegetarian and vegans cannot go on Australia Amazing Race. Like,
I mean, but I would go on it, and I would still eat all those things because it's for $250,000. I can put my morals or whatever aside for the money. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm a sellout, but sorry.
I think that's basically what Georgia said. She was like, at this point, we're powering through. So Heath and Tony are able to get out of here first, then Angel and Frankie, then Kelly and Georgia are going to be our last team leaving. And now we get to see that Angel and Frankie are not great with navigating. And I feel like this is another moment where we're kind of learning it late in the race.
Yeah. Like we've had like 20 something episodes, and like they've always been in the front of the pack or whatever. Like we never knew that they weren't great navigators. Like I just thought that they were great at everything. So I was very shocked that this is like a known fact to everyone in the race that they're not good at navigating.
Right.
Yeah. It does remind me of, you guys had mentioned it with Paco and Maury. Mm-hmm. Suddenly this fear of heights
where did that come from?
Come to the forefront. But yeah, I guess because it played into their positioning for each challenge, I guess that's why it was brought up. I mean, it's harsh, but Broome only has really one road in and out of it. So it's like when it came to navigation, I was like, you go
left or right.
It's left or right. It was a 50-50 chance, and you chose wrong.
It goes wrong every time.
Yeah, I mean, they're going the wrong way. It seems to be a theme. Someone said they were rubbish at directions at some point.
Kelly was really all over the fact that there's so bad directions.
Yeah, I was like, oh, wow. Okay, well, it's going to factor in. I believe that is going to make a difference in this finale. This roadblock, who's come out of their shell? That's a pretty vague one. I mean, we're near the ocean, so
I'd make you do it. I think, Sarah.
Mm-hmm. Just because it's hard to say what that is.
You're a water person.
Yeah, SEFA, are you doing this? Are you making Jess do this? What are you gleaning from this?
I think because we're in Broome, and Broome is known for pearls. And pearl farming. It's that area, that whole coastal area is known. There's pearl farms all up and down it. I think I would have done it because I would have assumed we're going underwater. Like you might have to dive for them. They didn't have to, but the assumption would have been there. I think I would have assumed we'd had to go underwater, and as we know, that ain't Jess's forte. So, I mean, it's not my forte either, but it's like, the lesser of two evils. Yeah.
Yes. Same here. I would have to do that then. But they're just going to get the pearls out of the oyster, which is, this is an interesting task because I don't think a lot of people have ever seen this process before. Yeah. I personally don't love to watch an animal that lives in the water out of the water I assume he's not breathing and not doing well. But that's just my own personal issue.
The birthing of the pearl was really cool, though. I thought, I was like, wow. I thought it was pretty magical.
Yeah.
Despite the killing of the clam, but
is he just like gasping for air? I don't know. Okay, we won't talk about it. Tony's gonna get on the boat first to get her oysters. They gotta go one at a time here. Then Kelly is gonna get on her boat next because Angel and Frankie are driving around places.
The other way. They were driving the other way.
Can't believe that.
I honestly feel like when Kelly was like, what's the secret to getting the oysters to open? And the guy was like, seeing it. They love Frank Sinatra or whatever. I feel like that guy was just trolling Kelly, and Kelly took it so serious, and he's like crooning on the boat.
Yeah.
But what do you know what the actual, if there is a technique, or were they just trying to make him sing? Or everybody sing?
I think there's probably old wives' tales and superstitions surrounding that, and maybe it is real. I don't think I'm with you. I think he was trolling, and I'm so glad he did.
It has to be Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
Fly me to the moon.
Please.
I thought it was great. Okay, so Angel is in last place at this point, getting her oysters all together. But once they're in that room, they're basically together singing to their oysters. And I really love this task because it's one of those that just makes you stop, basically. You run, and then you're like, I'm just gonna wait for my oyster to open. Like, that's got to drive you crazy.
Yeah. I think it really does add to the tension of the finale, which just, you're assuming it's going to go big. You have to go. But then to have a task where you just have to sit and kind of wait.
Yeah, poor Tony is not really great at like chilling out. So her having to like relax, she probably had a struggle there.
Yeah, the edit makes it seem like she's really flustered while other people are getting their oysters. But ultimately, no, because she is still going to get out of here in first place. I feel like everyone started this leg super stressed.
I mean, it's a stressful leg, like there's no second chances here. There's no, keep on racing. There's no mega leg. Like, it's like, this is it. Like, you can't screw up. You're going to the finish line. It's the most important one. So I can understand why people are really stressed out here.
Right.
Yeah. But I think watching the teams like express that stress, I was like, oh no, not today. Please don't fight. Please don't let this. Don't let this be the real. Not on this. Don't go out like this. Come on, guys.
I know.
So even when there's a part, I think in the chopsticks where Angel's saying stuff to Frankie, and Frankie just looks up and was like, relax. And I was like, holy crap! Do not do this to me, please.
Right. Like, Angel was about to murder him at one point, and he's like, we are trying to win a race. Like, stop, right? Yeah, and I feel like similar with like Tony's like, and he's like, you gotta calm down.
Yeah.
It's hard. All right, word in the sand is where we're headed next. This is very cool. We're gonna write an Indigenous word in the sand while one member is in a helicopter reading it. This is just fun.
Super fun. It reminded me of one of the first, like definitely the first season of Survivor, and like I think they did it in another season where they had to make like an SOS sign on the beach. So it kind of reminded me of that. And like I liked it, but what I was confused about is like how much time did they had to like draw out that long word? Because like I feel like they had to wait until their partner was already up in the air to be like really quickly trying to draw this word in the sand. So the timing of that, it was a little confusing for me.
Yeah, were they just like hovering? It looked
for how long?
Starting the word and the helicopter,
and then they're done.
Right. I think that was the challenge. I think your partner was already in the air, and then when they say go, you have 3 minutes before your partner leaves. Yeah, it's 3 minutes. They said the amount of time would be 3 minutes, but I'm assuming their start time was when their partner was already up in the air and they had to say go. So yeah, again, super stressful. And I felt for Frankie Because I know he wanted to go up in the air.
Oh,
I know he did. That part, it killed me because I felt it.
And he's like,
felt it.
You already got to do it twice. You know, and she's like, are you actually mad? And he's like, no.
He's like, we're in a part of Australia that we probably will never come back to, but yeah, okay, you take the helicopter ride over this turquoise ocean and red cliffs. Okay, fine.
Well, yeah, he never got to go up in anything? I don't quite remember, but it sounds like she has done all the playing.
Well, they just did the one a couple episodes ago with the flying and doing like the loop-de-loops and stuff.
Right. So why didn't she let him do this?
To be honest, I think strategically, I think it was still the right call. I feel for Frankie, but in regards to writing it, seeing how much of a weapon he was on the sand, and even Heath pointing out like that's the man that's standing between me and $250,000. I was like, you're damn right. That's your competition right there. Yeah, so I think it was the right choice.
Yeah, that's a good point, because when Tony was, debating, well, I can see better, so I'll go up to read it. There wasn't really that discussion of like who's going to actually write clearly in the sand, and I think Frankie would be the one out of that team to do that. Yeah. Heath apparently wasn't the one though to do it.
What did he do wrong? I was trying to figure it out. It was like did he not leave himself enough space to do like the last word? Like, did it have to be in a certain area, and so it got jumbled at the end?
I think it was what he was writing with. So he tried to write with his heel. Frankie, without hesitation, picked up the shell that had the word on it, and
which I believe, right? That's the point. You have the shell.
Yes, but he was trying to write with his heel, which slowed him down, and I don't think he was able to complete the word properly while she was up in the air during the 3 minutes. And so he did misspell it. Like he wasn't able to top off the G or top off the J, so it looked like an L, or because she pronounced it like good glue.
And it was in between, did they have somebody like going to clear the sand?
I'm assuming yes. Yeah, they must have. There's somebody. There's some runner on production that's lost 10 kilos. They lost 10 kilos raking those things.
Yeah, because Heath stands there, and basically now he gets to watch, or at least it seemed like he saw, Frankie use the shell, which is, I believe, what was meant to be used, and he's like, "Ugh, I messed up." Of course, Kelly's like, "I brought a stick because I'm thinking it through."
Just like,
but it seemed to work. Yeah. And then Kelly also was like, "This letter is you," which that also worked.
Gee.
To be honest, I like when teams are able to personalize their strategies like that, when there's like an inside connection between the two of them. I personally loved it. I know that, they're not the team we were rooting for. Let's be honest. Says you last episode. I tuned in. But I know that they're not the team. Yeah. But I do like when they're able to provide a strategy that's just unique to them. I was like, hats off to them. I love it. Point at your girl in the sky. Point at the letter. You've got it, Kelly. I love it.
Especially since she says, is it a W or a G? Which I was like, those are not similar letters at all. How is this confusing? But hey, if she's like at all confused and then he cleared it up for her, it's better than what Heath and Tony did at this point. Yeah. So Heath is waiting. And of course, we've got two more teams that get to go, and they get it and they go before Heath and Tony do it again. They obviously feel awful. And at this point, personally, I was like, wow, I can't believe they're not going to win.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. Like, it definitely threw me for a loop. I thought that at that point, I was like, I thought they were winning at this point. I thought it was going to be them for sure.
Yeah, same.
Snail hunt. We're going to hunt, cook, and eat snail. Everyone said they were huge, but they looked big to me as well.
They looked big. Have you done this before, SEFA?
No, I passed on that. I passed on it when I was, out there when I was out there for the month, and so it was a first. It would have been a first.
Did you see how big they were though? Did you happen to see them?
I mean, yes,
snails?
yes, yes. And to be honest, worms, like snails of any size, I think, that would have been massive. It could have been the size of, a peanut, and I still would have said that's huge because, you know that you have to eat it, and I wouldn't have particularly fancied it.
Luckily, it's just one, and it's not a whole plate of them. They do have to find 8 of them. So Angel and Frankie are going to arrive here first, but they're watching the demonstration, and then everyone basically catches up. They weren't too far behind, it seemed like. They're all going to watch this demonstration together. They're going to run off to do a little hunting. Now, Kelly and Georgia apparently left their bags in the car and have to go back and get it.
Yeah, so they're always on Angel and Frankie about like their directions, but what about their keeping their bags? Like this is not great racing either for the two of them. Yeah,
and did you cheer a little bit, Chantele?
I mean, God. I mean, I was like, okay, great. Like, at least they're out of it. That's what's going on in my head. Like, not because I dislike them as a duo, but it's like I really didn't want somebody that didn't race the entire race to be a winner. So that was kind of like pretty much one of my reasonings as to why I was like, I don't want them to be, in contention. So for the most part.
And like, it was weird because we didn't really, I don't think ever in this episode, we didn't see Kelly and Georgia interact with Frankie and Angel. So we see Kelly talk with Heath, like when they're on the boat, the Oyster Challenge. But then when it's just the two teams there, Angel is whispering, like, I do not want them to see how it's cracked open. Like, there seems to be clear tension between those two teams.
Yeah, Angel and kind of came out the gate as the villain only because of that one, like when the two teams came together or the two groups, and she was like, we're gonna win or whatever it was, and rubbed some people the wrong way. I wonder if that lasted.
It could have been.
Yeah, well, they were from the first group, weren't they? Georgia and Kelly, right?
Oh yeah.
They were from the Melbourne.
So that could have actually lingered, actually.
Yeah. But I think it also might have been. I think it would have been the ISO, the isolated teams versus the non-isolated teams.
True.
I think, and you kind of hear it later on where Angel is like, we can't let them beat us, mainly because I think they're thinking the same thing, where it's like they want a team that's ran the entire race to win the race.
Yeah. That's true. That's a very good point. This is not a difficult task. Everyone finds their snails and cooks them and eats them. But obviously, Kelly and Georgia are falling here to the back of the pack. But Angel and Frankie get out first. Heath and Tony out second. Kelly and Georgia out third. And we head to our next roadblock. Who's the king of the castle?
Sarah, you're skipping over the moment.
Oh, what was the moment? Oh, did I skip over?
The Angel and Frankie moment. Oh, I was living for this for the whole season.
I messaged Sarah right when I was like, I'm not finished watching yet, but yes.
Oh, yeah, we got it. We got the confirmation.
We got confirmation, first off, that Frankie does have feelings for her, as we all assumed. He was just like pining away, waiting for her to love him back. Now, I heard her just say the race has sparks have happened. Yes. Chantele, you seemed to have taken that as she said, I love him back.
I think that it was very hard for her to admit that she has some sparks for this person. And that was the best that we were going to get from her in that moment. But I felt for me that she's not someone that's really open with her feelings in that way. And so for me, that was confirmation that she was interested in exploring these sparks.
Yeah. SEFA, what was your take on this?
Oh, I was screaming. You saw my tweet about it. It was all caps for the next 5 minutes. I love. I am behind this. all the way. All the way. It's given me when it's like Rob and Amber finding each other on Survivor. I love
that moment.
I love this. And Rob similarly started out as a villain, finds love, and I was like, I hope this happens. I hope this happens. I hope this is real. I know, Sarah, you sound a bit skeptical.
Well, first off, I don't love, so you lost me right there. I have a stone cold heart. But I felt my opinion over this race was that Frankie could do better, that Angel wasn't the one for him. She seems, in her own world doing her own thing. And he's such a giving, loving person is what it seems like. So I wanted him to go off and find someone that would treat him the way he treats her. But again, I don't love. So I come from a very jaded place. Yeah. But maybe I will get on board with you guys and say maybe this did soften her heart.
I think she softened a lot, like throughout the season. Go ahead.
No, I just think even doing the Pearl challenge is a metaphor where, Frankie's been waiting. So now it's her turn to wait for someone to open up and to reciprocate. And, I'm glad. Like, and then she, that there's a pearl right in front of her and she got to keep this pearl. And I was like, you know what?
Yep.
I hope it happens.
Angel's
the metaphor, it's yes, exactly.
So
I'm loving this.
See the pearl of Frankie.
Yeah,
it was very cute when she was, they were talking about would this be a good date, and she was like, yeah, okay, and he was like, well, cool, because I'm here. The
sparks. The sparks weren't just coming from the fire. Let me tell you.
I mean, maybe there was extra canoodling in some of these overnights. They've been spending a lot of close quarter times together. So who knows?
Oh, yes, they sure have. Thank you. I did skip right over that in my notes.
Intentionally?
No, how dare I miss that? So thank you for circling back to that. I guess, do they have to? It didn't say the next person has to do the roadblock, but everyone did it that way. So maybe it was a rule that I just didn't hear. The opposite person has to do this next roadblock.
And it might have been the case where it's like in the finale, like going into the finale, you kind of have to have a pretty close, like one person in your team can't do every roadblock throughout the race. It's kind of a rule where it's like going into the race, you have to kind of keep it kind of even. So maybe it was that where they just kind of assumed, let's keep it the same and you can take this one.
Well, it's not anything too physically demanding, but it is basically a needle in the haystack, which will make you lose your mind. They have to find a button in a sandcastle. There's a gazillion sandcastles on the beach now. Mistake number 14, I don't know, I've lost track, but Angel and Frankie just completely go to the beach first instead of going to the place where they have to pick up their bucket and spade.
So many mistakes. I was like, what? Like that was a game losing decision here. Like, how did you not read your clue fully to know that you had to go and get your bucket somewhere else beforehand? I'm just like, I was just shocked that it was such a basic mistake that you might make like 1, 2, 3, 10, whatever, but like 20 something, like it definitely shouldn't have happened. On the final leg where it's the most important, like you should be like every single word you're making sure that you get correct because no room for error, which they kept on saying, but they kept on making errors.
And even like you can see the way they show us the way the clue's written out. The first paragraph is go here to collect your bucket and spade and then head to the beach. So it's they're trying to make it as clear as possible without telling you actually that it is a separate location. So it's just, a mistake that you really can't afford to make this far in on the finale leg.
Right. And I don't know. I did feel like Angel definitely started this race frenetic and frantic with that sort of finale energy. I don't know if that was still causing problems for her or maybe just the sparks of the date, lulled them into misreading the clue. I'm not sure. But they obviously are like, we're hoping everyone makes this mistake, but once they finally get to the bucket, both buckets, it's the last one left. They're obviously in last place at this point. Oh. Well, Heath and Tony are going to start. Heath has to do this. So he's going through his sand castles. Then Kelly and Georgia show up. And Kelly, our math teacher, has no system, which I thought was a red flag at this point.
What would your system be?
Well, first off, I'd be like, universe, where's the button? Lead me to the button. But then from wherever I start, there has to be a plan from there, right? Am I just being too type A? SEFA, what would you be doing?
I think I would have made the assumption that it's not along the sides in case you happen to find it right away. So I think I would have tried to start in the middle and work my way out, because I would have assumed it was somewhere in the center. But again, that's a system that makes me feel better. Whether that actually is effective, I don't know if it would have been. But the thing about this challenge that actually pissed me off about it, what the hell did the bucket have to do with the challenge?
They put the flags in them.
But at one point, the flags are just chucked onto the side. And I was like, there is absolutely no purpose of the bucket. I thought it was going to include like an element, like obviously needle in a haystack can throw off the positions a lot. So that's one thing. But I thought it was going to add another element where they were going to layer on, you had to rebuild every castle that you bust down, so that you really have no idea where you started or where you ended.
Oh wow, that was hard.
So, but to me, that's what the purpose of the bucket would be. Other than that, I was like, what is the point of the bucket and the spade?
That's a good question, because no one used the spade to go through the sand.
No.
You want to touch the sand in case you hit a button.
Yeah, and seeing how small the button was, I think the spade you could have just dug right past that. No way.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, Heath is going to be able to find it eventually, but both Frankie and Kelly are going to go through everything and then like back it up and have to keep digging, basically.
Yeah, brutal. Imagine getting through all of them and then being like, so I haven't found this yet.
Yeah.
And they're all crashed down. So I basically just has to literally sift through sand on a large beach to find a button.
Yeah.
Brutal.
I mean, but this was Heath's redemption from the helicopter challenge, because, oh my Lord, if he also did not find this button, I do not know what Tony would have done with him. You know, like there needed to be something to bring him back up. I'm so glad he found it. Like, as much as I was cheering for Frankie and Angel, I'm glad he found the button.
Yeah, yes.
It feels nice that he just found it. You know, he's going through it and he found it. Like, that's how you want it to go. The way that it goes for Frankie and Kelly, where they start to have meltdowns and lose their mind because they're just like, I don't know, I've touched all the sand. Where is this silly button? You know, you start to really feel for them at this point.
How do we feel about having a needle in the haystack task in the finale? I don't know, because for me, like, I'm kind of like, I don't know, I wanted something that people can really, it's in their hands of being able to complete, you know what I mean? And so, like, I don't mind this as a task anywhere else in the race, but in the finale, it's like, I would be so gutted if, like, I lost because I couldn't find a button in sand, you know what I mean? But, like, if it was something that I wasn't able to do, then at least I'd feel a little bit better about losing. But yeah, for me, like, I would be frustrated that this was the task that took me out.
You know, I echo that, Chantele. I think if you had a map that large, I think the way they could have changed it was that there is a series of instructions, like a riddle to break down, and it'll lead you to kind of like a battleship where it'll lead you to exact coordinates. You had to figure it out. But again, you had to rebuild the bucket, any castle that you busted down. So you never know if you've even checked this before. something like that to make it more controllable. Because I'm the same as you, just a straight up needle in the haystack. Oh my lord.
Yeah, I mean, it's great at any other time, but in the final leg, you're just kind of like, you want to be able to use your own skills to be able to do better, not just hope that you touched the right sandcastle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, in general, on a finale, I want people jumping out of buildings and, doing just those big, visually spectacle, crazy things that push people. And we didn't really get any of that in this finale. I felt like the last episode, maybe even the last two, felt more like that. Paco and Maury couldn't even go up to the top of that stadium. Like, that's a finale. I'll take that.
Yeah. Even the skydiving off of Rock Nest Island, that could have been, even adding an element to the to the writing in the sand. I mean, the person has to skydive out of the out of the plane and land every time, and it just takes an extra 10 minutes every time they go up. I'm in. I'm in.
You should be a game designer. You should be part of the team.
just adding an element. But again, I think I'm with you at the end. I mean, to be honest, knowing that it was out of my control and knowing that it was a needle in the haystack, if I did lose, I think I could have just blamed someone, like the buck is over there.
Do you want to be blaming production in the bucket for the rest of your life? No, I'd rather blame myself.
Well, Kelly says, we do see Frankie eventually get it. Angel, I would like to point out, seems very loving and supportive this whole time. She doesn't get, angry and mad at this point. They're going to leave this second. Kelly says after many hours, they get it and leave. And if that's true, that's awful.
I think they were both pretty close because when you see Angel and Frankie in the same shot, you see Angel and Frankie leaving the clock tower challenge. Yeah. And then you see Kelly and Georgia going in. So I think both of them were significantly, like, you can see the difference in the sun, the sunset as well. Like, they are just the sun's already down by the time they're there.
And do we just torture Sarah and I? Because I felt like that was too easy of a final challenge. Like, it was what 6 clocks? I wanted there to be 15 clocks, to be honest, and 15 towers.
I bet there was originally.
I know it's because teams were
isolation.
Not. Yeah, but I want it to be harder. I thought that was a little bit too. You could actually do process of elimination.
Yeah.
And I wanted it to be very difficult. But it wasn't.
I think I'm the same. I think I would have either maybe arranging the clock towers in order is one thing, but I think I would have given them more faces of a clock than there were. So if there's only 6 that they have to arrange, let's put in 8 or let's put in even 7.
10,
10, adding just a few more, the combinations, you couldn't just guess it. You had to get it right.
That's a good point. I also, let's just set it up. It's time to reflect. They got the hints, whether they picked up on it or not, to pay attention to the clock towers and what time they were at those, which I do think is difficult. If we could have had one at every single leg, that would have been amazing.
Good, difficult, I thought it was a very good final challenge.
If we had every single hour, let's go ahead and say 12 time options, that would have been amazing. I also thought, because when Bo's reading the clue or explaining it to us, and he shows us sort of the math that has to happen for the combo, I thought, oh, that's so tricky. If they don't know to add,
and then it
was just in the clue. I was like, don't tell them, make them have to figure it out.
Yeah. I didn't understand why they didn't just let that one be a little bit ambiguous and figure out how to make a 3-digit code or 6-digit code, whatever it was. I agree.
Well, Heath and Tony, no surprise that, first off, they're getting there first, but they have notes on this. They picked up on it. They even clocked the times. They did everything right. They're not going to get it perfect right away, but they're able to get out of this task seemingly in a great amount of time. No other team is there. They head off. And now I'm like, wait, what? They're winning? thought they were losing, and now they're winning.
As soon as they left the sandcastles, I knew that whoever was leaving there first, I thought was most likely going to win this season. So I kind of already clued in at that point.
Yeah. And I think you can't help but root for them as a fan who there's a pattern of having a memory challenge, and there hasn't really been, we didn't have one at the end of our season where it just kind of collects all like something from every leg to remember. We didn't have one. So to have one in this finale, as a fan, I am all for it. This was awesome. And the fact that Heath and Tony prepared for this tells me, they're fans too. They're fans too. And I like respect. Again, I was cheering for Frankie and Angel at the start of this, but coming towards the end, you couldn't help but want Heath and Tony. You did everything right.
And Frankie and Angel, they dropped the ball at the end. Unfortunately, they've been racing a super strong game. Like the whole race, they were always in the front of the pack for the most part. And the last few legs, they kind of been falling behind. And Heath and Tony have been kind of picking up steam there. And so the fact that they knew, as a fan, to take these notes and be really specific about them, they definitely deserve it for the efforts that they put into this race so far.
When Angel and Frankie eventually show up, they don't have notes. They didn't pick up on this to pay attention.
I was shocked.
Yeah. I mean, that's a little bit of a letdown, right, SEFA?
Okay. Yes. You know what? If they had each other's eyes to look into, I understand the distraction. I don't care.
Okay, got it. Yep.
At this point, after that date that they had cooking those worms, they can do no wrong. Yes. They can do no wrong.
They were busy falling in love.
Yes.
Didn't notice the clock towers.
The real prize. Yes.
But to your point earlier, Chantele, they are able to just figure it out because there's only 6 of them. So process of elimination, they're going to get it eventually. But I do think it took them a little while because, like you pointed out, they're going to leave as Kelly and Georgia are coming up. But you're like, these people are so far behind. We know Heath and Tony are winning this unless something weird is about to happen. But also Heath and Tony are giving us these beautiful packages about how they're going to spend her last days with the winnings.
Yeah, it was pretty sad. The whole ending was quite emotional, like with Frankie and Angel as well. It was pretty beautiful. And I think that it's nice to have that kind of team win in the end because the story is so beautiful. And one thing that Heath said that kind of got me a little bit, he's like, even though cancer is going to probably separate us, we have to race together. I was like, why do you say cancer is separating you?
Yes.
Stop it.
Oh man. That on the mat, killed me. Like Paco and I'm with Paco and Maury in the back, just hands clasped, just oh my lord. It was it gave them it was everything, not necessarily I don't mean to trivialize it by making it like, oh, it's a TV show, but they were given it put everything out there. It was a nice story, it ended it beautifully, and it's the team that you wanted in the end.
It really was. I mean, no shade to the other two teams, but this story, you would have felt sad if Heath and Tony didn't win.
And that's so much more to them.
Yeah, and that's nothing against the other teams at all. No. They obviously do make mistakes, and as a race fan, it helps me not feel as bad for a team that loses when you can kind of see, oh, you made a couple errors, and that's just how the race goes.
Yeah.
But it was so lovely to see who we had. We had the parents, we had the cops, we had the aunt and niece, we had our hubbies celebrating. Obviously, we couldn't have everybody, but it was nice to have some teams there.
They're probably in isolation, Sarah.
Out of the budget. It was out of the budget to bring them back.
No, they're probably still in Greece, isolated.
Getting ready for next season.
Exactly. To come back as stowaways next season. Yeah.
This is going to sound really petty, but in my mind, I was like, why is Paco and Maury at the back? They should be at the front.
They should.
What's going on with this arrangement? I was like, Paco and Maury, you're front row.
I was only actually looking at them though. So,
yeah.
I don't even know who else is there. I know that the Chelsea and Jameis were there, and those are the only two teams that I actually noticed.
How can you miss Jameis's smile?
I love
it is from ear to ear every time he's on screen.
Mm-hmm. How did you feel about Chelsea and Jameis this season?
That's a sigh.
That's a tough one to defend.
Yeah, like you said, Jameis' smile, beautiful.
Yeah, just there were some episodes that I was like, even the feeding. What reminds me of Cartagena when they had to feed the kids, they had to make it looked like cheesy bread.
Yeah.
And they were like just that specific argument. I was like, oh Lord.
It's
patience of a saint for sure.
Yeah. So they were tough. They were a tough one to watch sometimes.
I hope though that she watches it back and she kind of was like, wow, I didn't really realize that that's the way that I was coming across or speaking to you. Like, hopefully she'll have some self-reflection.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she's on a journey. And she did seem to soften up towards the end. So I'm hoping that sticks.
Yeah.
And then the aunt and niece were there, Cynthia and Tiffany, and they were smiling.
Our joke the whole time was that we didn't know who they were, or that they didn't really have like a personality on the mat. Because I was thinking, like, if every time I got to the mat, I'd be something dramatic. I'd be like, "Oh my god, finally!" Like something. Like I'm not just like
even on their non-limb. I would be like running up and down, singing praise songs, like holy crap. Like my heart goes out to them because I'm like, it's my red team alumni. You know, we got to keep the lineage going. But yeah, I mean, they made it further than I did, so hats off to them.
They ended up doing pretty well. I was impressed, and they smiled maybe twice, so that was nice. I hope that they enjoyed their experience. It was just hard to see. And then our cop ladies, again, I was rooting for them, but we didn't get to see a ton of them.
Yeah.
They raced, they isolated, they raced, they left. So, yeah. Yes, James, SEFA for All-Stars. Let's get that trending.
I need to renew my gym membership before that happens. So
okay.
If there's anybody watching, please give me 6 months warning.
All right, so Heath and Tony, the winners we wanted, they did it. They pulled it out. So they were so happy, obviously. Angel and Frankie show up in second, and obviously Angel took it a little harder. That was hard.
She
took
out the jersey of her dad's out and put it on. I cried there too, because like she just wanted to make him proud for the whole season, and like he was running it for her, and like I don't know. I thought that moment also was really touching, and we saw the softer side of Angel again, which we always liked, and I definitely felt for her in that moment, and it brought up some more tears in me. How about your eye ducts, Sarah?
No, not for that. But look, her dad is very proud of her. She doesn't have to win to make him proud. So I hope that she knows that deep down. She ran a very good race. They were one of the top teams the whole time. And even just coming in second is still a very good finish. So
finishing the race, I think is so impressive. Like no matter what.
Yeah. And I think it worked on two layers for me, because one, it's that story about trying to make her dad proud as she's wearing the jersey. But I don't know if you guys read Cook Islands, which is where she's from.
Yeah.
And as a proud Pacific Islander, like to have that sort of visibility on screen, I couldn't help but also be proud on that level where it's like, show where you're from, be proud of it, and be proud of how far you came. I mean, bloody hell, you guys dominated.
Seriously.
So much.
Yeah. Oh, they ran a great race. Absolutely.
Yeah. I couldn't help but notice the Frankie wiping her hair away from his face.
Are you gonna put together like a Frankie and Angel like montage with romantic music? Like all
putting or already have put I'm not going to distinguish that, but the wiping the hair away, I was just like, yes, Frankie, get it. Be there, be the shoulder to cry on. Yes.
He is good at that. I mean, he really seems like such a genuine person.
Yeah.
So supportive for her. Kelly and Georgia, different vibe. They finally made it to the mat. It's much darker. The sun's gone down.
Yeah.
They waited for them. And yeah, as a team that went into isolation, who wasn't the front of the pack the whole time, a third place finish is pretty darn good.
Be happy with that.
Yeah. I think I would have been the same, as in the situation that they're in. I think I would have just been happy to be in the finale and be pinching myself the whole time that I made it that far. With how much sometimes luck plays into this, I would just be grateful that I did make it that far. So I can't fault them as racers for taking the opportunity and for making the most of it. So good on Kelly and Georgia for coming in third place. Pretty damn good.
Right?
Podium. Yeah.
Do you think that Kelly watched this back and will stop mansplaining after this?
Then he wouldn't be Kelly. I don't know.
There was a moment when he was like, you got to find a place to park. And she was like, I know, I'm doing it. And he was like, yeah, I'm just saying. And I was like, that sums it up right there. He's just saying all of the time.
You don't need to say it sometimes.
Yeah. Just sometimes you don't have to. Like, she can figure it out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Kelly.
They're only 6 months into that marriage. We'll see.
But I think they're traveling the world still. I think they've sold stuff and like on Instagram. I think they've sold. I don't know, but I think they're backpacking or something.
Oh wow, that's fun.
They're just the travel bugs just kind of stuck with them.
How's Bo in real life? Is he as huggy as we see him on the screen?
Oh goodness.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He is, because he comes from a rugby league background. He's very much just like of the people, and he's kind of been in the entertainment industry for a little bit, so he kind of gets that. Like he understands, like in real life who he is has to be friendly, it has to be warm, because that's him. That's how he makes his bread and butter.
Of course he's gonna get COVID. He's hugging everybody.
Yeah.
A lot.
There's a lot of. We think Bo is fun, and he was hilarious in isolation. Like he's still.
I mean, the shirtless was a bit gratuitous. But I don't know if you. I mean, different strokes for different folks.
Yep.
Not for me, but good on him. You've got the rig. Show it off, Bo. If I had a body like that, I wouldn't wear a shirt either.
Right.
He wants to be in like the host's calendar, all the different hosts around the world, like calendar.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Phil, Jeff, and Bo.
Yeah. Nico. Oh my gosh. Nico. Jonathan.
Yes. I'll buy one of those.
Yeah.
So overall, it was a bit of a hot mess this season, but they pulled it out. They did it. We stuck with it, so obviously there was something going on. We didn't give up on it. SEFA, overall? What's your feeling? Takeaway here.
I'm the same with you. I think it was a bit of a hot mess. I'm not gonna lie. I think going in when the group of 5 went into isolation, there were some episodes where I also went into isolation and did not, just kind of watch the recap, watch a replay, because it 24 episodes is a long time. That is like a full season of Grey's Anatomy, or that's a network television drama full season. I was like, it's a lot. 3 times a week. That's a big commitment, and I think it was a bit much.
Mm-hmm.
A bit much. And then having the 5 teams go into isolation, I mean, it just kept stacking. Bo gets COVID. I mean, holy crap. Like, the only way this really could have kind of derailed fully is if the wrong team won. and I hate to say it because there isn't necessarily a wrong team,
Mhm.
but the team we weren't rooting for, if they won, I think
it would have felt weird, right?
I would have been like,
yeah.
Just
And
would
it's
have
harsh
felt
because,
off.
yeah, it would have just felt off. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, Heath and Tony winning, great.
Perfect.
Mhm.
Perfect. Kind of redeems everything. Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely. And for me, like, I definitely enjoyed seeing like different tasks and challenges, and like I definitely felt that this was really full of like a race. Like I know they wanted to try something new with having these two teams, and I wasn't sure if I was gonna like it or not, because I was like, oh my god, we already know we're having like 24 episodes of this show. Like now we're bringing on 10 more teams for me to try to remember. I'm like, oh my goodness, but it actually wasn't as challenging as I thought it was gonna be, and I ended up really enjoying getting to know even more characters. So I think that overall, my experience of this season, I'm gonna give it like 7.5. I think it's where it's gonna land for me. I definitely enjoyed it though. If it didn't have the isolation parts, I think it could have been a little bit higher for me.
For sure. Sefa, are you a Grey's Anatomy fan?
I am not, but I just know that Grey's Anatomy
has been on
been on since the dawn of time. So that's the reference that comes to mind when it comes to network television in the olden days. Because
oh my god, thousands, like it's not.
I know, but like with streaming and how much content gets pumped out, I was like, we're doing 10 episode seasons now. Like 24 just seems, come on.
Yeah,
but it's like cut it in half.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have a favorite task or challenge that happened this season, or one that you would never wanted to do, so you're happy that you weren't on that this season?
Oh, the one I like when challenges bring teams together and makes it really stressful. So like when the episode where everything came together, with the two groups joined and raced in one, and then they all had to paint the same set of stairs.
Oh my god!
I was loving that beef. I'm loving that beef. Loving that tension.
Blue steps.
Oh,
it's dry. Get off.
Yeah, Frankie and Angel just saying like, "Can you just get off? I don't care if it's dry. Get off." Oh, that's when I knew this is the team for me. This is the team for me.
Yes.
Get off my stairs. I love it.
Oh, I was so stressed. I was so stressed.
Yeah, I mean it's a very simple task, but I do think adding like paint in Shift Shower, the Blue City, contributing to the Blue City. I mean, tasks like that where you're able not just to participate in a culture, but to contribute something back, and having like knowing that, hey, there's a set of stairs in the middle of Morocco that I painted.
Nice.
I love that. Taking away something like that, love it.
Did you have an opinion on Kelly and Georgia snitching and telling on? Was it our Middle Eastern ladies who weren't carrying it correctly?
Yeah.
How'd you feel about that?
I think Crystal and Reem are probably when seeing Kelly dig through the castle.
They're like
they're probably smiling. They're probably smiling down on him, just like haram. So like my opinion on it is, I get it. I like when teams.
So you'd be a snitch?
I don't know if I would, but I understand where they came. I understand where they came from. They're at the back of the pack. They're stressed. You're doing anything to climb your way up. But I do feel that it was put on the contestants to do that.
Mm.
You know,
why wasn't a producer in charge of that?
Yeah, that's the part that I do feel bad about, which just if that is true and if that is the case, why did Kelly and Georgia have to play the villain? Why did they have to do that?
Right, I agree. Mm-hmm.
I don't think the producers would have stepped in if they hadn't. So
I'm a stickler to rules, but I don't want to be the person to do it if I'm in the race.
Yes, because you've got enough to deal with. Making sure that you and your team are doing it correctly. But then to layer on top that you have to police other teams as well. I mean, that's just it'd be overboard for me.
When All Stars calls you to go back on The Amazing Race, are you gonna go?
Same partner.
Oh, 100%.
Either way. Okay.
100%. Like
Yeah.
watching me and Jess, like watching Jess is not only everyone at home their entertainment, it's my entertainment too. It would have to be. Like seeing her, deliberately putting her into situations to see her struggle,
React.
but also overcome and react. I was just like, I'm here for this story arc, Jess. I'm here for this journey with you, and it's going to be a great time. But going back and being stressed, I don't know. Like there are moments watching this season and knowing every clue you open, I'm praying. I know it's like the second clue of the leg, but I'm like, please be a pit stop.
Yeah.
Like I'm in a good position. I'm leaving this task third. Please tell me.
Yeah.
Please tell me Bo's waiting for me around the corner. I just want this to be done.
So you're not a fan of the keep on racing mega leg type vibes?
Oh, to be honest, like it is stressful, but I like the mega leg. I wish I participated in one. There's been some great mega legs in Amazing Race history, and so like the idea, like an overnight train ride, or hey, you've just got to keep going, like stuff like that. I love it. So I would love to have participated just to tick it off my list.
Right.
But how well I would have dealt with it, I don't know.
It did seem, when they were doing the virtual pit stop this season, it did seem much more taxing on the racers when, from my perspective, you're like, they still got a break to sleep at some point. Like I wasn't able to see the difference from a night after a pit stop or this virtual pit stop. SEFA, explain it to me. Like, how is this more
taxing?
Yes, exhausting.
I think because you do when you do stop at a leg, you get to do your interviews, you get something to eat. Like there's a set break. But if it's if you do keep going, I'm assuming like there isn't like a prepared dinner. You're kind of on your own. You're still technically on the race, so it's not like you can kind of unwind and kind of rest. I think it's more of a mental. It's probably more mentally taxing than it is with the physically taxing,
right?
Because you just can't. You're not kind of taking a break. But as someone, I wasn't a fan of the stopping and starting. I think I would have liked it to just like, while my head is in the game, let's just keep going while I'm still on.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's if the rest time is shorter when it's a keep on racing. Like say you get 12 hours for a pit stop, but maybe it's like only 8 hours to get back in the race if it's a keep on racing moment. So
yeah.
Maybe.
Right. Well, we did it, you guys. We made it through the season, and we were blessed with Mr. SEFA joining us for this. I can't thank you enough. It's so lovely to talk to you.
Likewise. I love it.
Thank you. Fun. I'm glad you're doing well. Thank you for popping in and touching base with us. And is there anything you want to promote? Have the people follow you, find you?
I'm with Tourism Australia. Come down, pay us a visit. I'm not actually with them, but I'm all for showing off this beautiful country that we live in. And
so beautiful.
Sarah, are we going to Australia?
Yeah, I think so. We're going.
Let's go.
First off, we got to get cast on The Amazing Race.
Yeah, okay. You're American though. It just might be easier as a Canadian, but
okay. First, I moved to Canada.
Yes.
Then we go on Australian Amazing Race, and okay, got it. I'm gonna work on that.
Yeah, and then we'll see you when you're down here. I'll see you at the starting line.
We'll see it at All Stars.
Yeah.
That would be fun. Yes. Well, thank you everybody in the chat as well for joining us. And if you're watching later, please leave a comment. Tell us why you love SEFA first, then why you loved Heath and Tony winning, and then give us your other thoughts as well.
When do you think that Angel and Frankie are going to get married?
Oh?
I don't know if they're going to get married.
Look, are they still together, guys? Because they stopped racing a little while ago.
So that would be the beginning of this year. Yeah, I don't know when. I'm afraid to ask. Like I've been messaging them as the race has kind of progressed. I've been staying in contact with them.
You didn't message them after the moment?
No, it is so like
you got to message them now. So
It felt because it was the strike. I love the striking of the hair. It was the hair striking moment that I was like, you know what? I feel like I'm intruding.
And so, like, it's like, I see too much.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, please don't.
I'm going to send them a clip of you saying how much you love them, and then that'll be the open. Then they're just going to know. So you're just going to have to ask them after that and say, I got to know the relationship status.
Cat's out of the bag.
Yeah.
Tell me.
Have we checked Facebook yet to have status updates?
I have. I have. And no updates. There's just the only thing I've gotten is more TikToks. And none of them have been particularly romantic. So I'm waiting. Waiting, is there an extra long touch that lingers?
Maybe join their church.
I'll just be there in the crowd.
Just like
suddenly,
what?
Hey guys, I'm new here. First time here.
They need to drop a TikTok that's like the embrace.
AMAs. Let's do Ask Me Anything.
Yeah, or like the progress of their relationship, and it's like, oh hey, now we're on holiday. I mean, they did win a holiday. I think they won a holiday or two.
So now they
together.
can use
true. That's true.
So
they did.
I will stalk that and provide you with updates.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Love it. All right, you guys have a wonderful rest of your day in Australia and night in America, Canada. We will see you guys next time.
Yeah. See you.